Hey, it's Walter here. It's Tuesday, March 17th, 2020, and we are in the midst of the COVID-19 outbreak. And as you might guess, things have been rather crazy around here at the church. But I did want to take just a couple of minutes to talk about something that we did last week. We came to the conclusion that it would be best for our members and for our community to cancel our worship services. And I imagine your head was spinning much like ours were as we were working through that process. So I just wanted to explain a little bit how we arrived there from my perspective. The elders, each one of them might have a slightly different perspective, but I think this is a fairly accurate assessment of how we arrived at the decision to do something that we definitely didn't want to do, something that we very seldom do, but that was cancel worship services. So the way things evolved, things were evolving very quickly. And initially, as we were getting word about the coronavirus, our first thoughts are kind of about ourselves, right? Because like most people, we're kind of selfish and self-centered. I think most of us had the opinion, it's like, well, that sounds like a nuisance. But if I do get it, it probably won't be that serious. So I'll start washing my hands more often and taking those kind of precautions and all. But then as we started having more discussions, we were kind of awakened to the fact that this wasn't just about us, that this was certainly about other people, and that there were many people in our congregation who were particularly vulnerable if they did contract the virus, specifically people, they say over the age of 60, but since I'm 60, I'm going to say over the age of 70 because that just feels more comfortable for me to say. But the older people in our congregation, and also people who have compromised immunities and are dealing with various things like cancer treatments and all. And so at that point, what we were really focused on is taking all the precautions we could to protect those people, asking the older folks to stay home, asking people who were sick to stay home, making sure that we took special precautions with our communion service and also the way that we greeted people and all of those kind of things. And so when we met on Wednesday, we came out of that meeting determined to do all that we could to protect people, but continue on with our regular services. So what changed between Wednesday and Friday when we made the decision to not have services on Sunday? I think what changed is that our perspective went from ourselves and then to our church family to the community as a whole. The more that we gathered information and talked to experts, we began to understand what they were trying to accomplish by restricting gatherings of people of any size at all. And what they helped us to understand was that not only were we at risk and our community of faith here at risk, but we were also putting our neighborhood around us and the city and the state around us. And with, again, the makeup of our congregation, we have people who come from every corner of the city, from multiple counties, who go from our church services and then interact with a lot of other people. And we began to realize, it's not just us that we need to be concerned about, it's those around us. We need to have love and compassion and concern about them as well. That coupled with the fact that when we started talking to people who were emergency room doctors and other people like that, we also understood that we were putting our health system at risk, that if the coronavirus cases spiked here in Albuquerque and in New Mexico, they could absolutely overwhelm our system. The doctors wouldn't be able to respond like they would want to. There wouldn't be the equipment and the medication and the rooms that people would need. And so that we also needed to cancel our services to do our part as others were doing their part to keep from having these gatherings so we wouldn't have that big spike, so that we could again respond compassionately to the healthcare workers in our health system and all those that might need their help over time. At that point, it became kind of obvious that the right thing to do, the compassionate thing to do, the loving thing to do was to cancel services, to do everything that we can to help make sure that the vulnerable in our community are taken care of and are protected. And then also then the burden becomes on us to make sure that we are staying together and connected as a church. And we'll have some things to say soon about that, about the way that we intend to make sure that that happens as well. But one of the things that we do need to remember is that we didn't cancel church. we canceled a church service. We are the church, and that church hasn't gone away, and that church is not going away. So I just want to say, as you are living out your life in this difficult time, just remember that you're the church, and the church is still meeting because your heart is still beating. We'll talk to you again soon. Bye.